What's up, everybody? Welcome back into another week of the Fantasy Football Game Show here on Front Yard Fantasy, brought to you by Better Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon Grunewald. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Joey Wright. And we've got our great friend and special guest, HERMS, on the show with us today. What up, HERMS?
What is up? What is up? What is up? What is up? The Steelers won a football game somehow, and it was cool, and I liked it.
Right before they kicked off, I was at an engagement party. Buddy had his phone out, and he's like, should I throw some money on the Raiders? And I was like, dude, I don't want to be on the other side of Mike Tomlin figuring it out. I don't want to be the dude on the week when Mike Tomlin just says, you know what, we're going to freaking win this week. And it feels like that's what happened. I keep searching like fantasy leaders for any Steelers players, and they're nowhere to be found. But the Steelers pulled the win out. It doesn't matter. Feels good, at least for you.
Facts on facts, 100%.
We got someone in the chat with Herms history for us on the show. It's our chat historian, Craig, saying Herms is back for his 12th FYF show and 10th FYF game, 2-7 with a winning record in jeopardy. But fortune has been his kryptonite thus far. Looking for a change of fortune and fantasy fortune today, Herms. You feel it coming?
I do so much better in the chat. I always feel like if I'm in the chat, I figure out the puzzles so far in advance. But there's something about, I take this full screen and I'm on the show and there's pressure and we'll see. One of these days it'll come through. Okay. I don't know if it's today. It could be next time. I don't know, but I'm feeling it at some point.
Herms is going to have that Queen's Gambit moment where he looks up and just all of a sudden the boxes start rearranging and the puzzle solves itself. We got scampers in the chat hyped for Herms to be here, saying FIF with Herms. Dustin, hashtag Team Joey as always. And Jay saying, I'm just here for Herms and the chat, but mostly Herms. Hey, that describes me as well today. Okay. We got Albert in here saying, hello, everyone. What's up, Albert? And Scott Fish stopping by with the Heidi-ho neighboroonies.
What up?
Heidi-ho.
Dame also stopping by to say hi with the yo FIF. Love seeing Herms on this beautiful Monday. I was about to say morning, but I don't think it's morning anywhere in the whole world, if I'm not mistaken.
It's my morning.
It's Herms' morning. Good morning to you, Herms. Well, guys, we brought Herms here, as we alluded to play some fantasy fortune. But before we do that, there's a couple things we got to go over. First and foremost, this is the most important one we're going to go over. If you're not following our friend Herms, you really need to remedy that immediately. You can find him on Twitter at Herms NFL, and every day he graces your timeline as a day that's a little bit better. So make sure you're following him. And then check out his work over at Draft Sharks as well, where he's a fantasy football analyst. Every day you follow his work over there is a day you're better at fantasy football. After you do that, come on back where you're watching this video on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button on the Front Yard Fantasy or BSN YouTube channel. And the little notification bell will make sure you never miss any of our live shows every day at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And if you're looking to get an early start on your Week 4 NFL picks, your DFS lineups, start getting that information early. You can go to fantasyalarm.com/win and start your 7-day free All-Pro trial. So it is a free 7-day trial of their All-Pro subscription. Get in there, get prepped for Week 4, get over Week 3, because if you didn't have Keenan Allen or Devon Chain, you might be sitting a little bit sad with your fantasy lineups this week. With that being said, before we get into our game for today, I did want to talk a little bit about what we saw from the Miami Dolphins this weekend. Dropping 70 points on the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton. It was like Mike McDaniel just wanted to send a message that Sean Payton is, in fact, not back with that one. The number 1 running back on the week was a Miami Dolphin, and the number 2 running back on the week was a Miami Dolphin. If you would have told me Devon Chain got 4 touchdowns and there were still 3 left over for Raheem Mostert, I would have called you a liar. Herms, I'm going to throw this one to you first. As someone who drafted quite a bit of Chain on a lot of my 0 RB rosters, I'm thrilled with this, and I want to use all of my pre-existing bias to say this is what's going to happen going forward. I need you to tell me the reality of this situation. What's going on with the running backs here in Miami?
All right, well, I'm going to feed exactly what you want, because I also really, really like Devon Achane. I did all of the rookie running back evaluations at Draft Sharks for this draft class over the course of the spring and all that stuff. And I was pretty aggressive in ranking Achane super high. And I used the comp sparingly, because I know a lot of people like to throw it out there for tiny running backs who happen to be very fast. But I was pretty confident this dude could possibly become like a Darren Sproles type of running back, which is rare, but he's good. And honestly, if you look at it, just look at his track and field times and all of that, He's like the fastest guy on the team. People think like, oh, faster than Tyreek Hill. Yes, yeah, I think maybe. Honestly, if we put the two of them in a foot race, like it's measured time. It is measured time in competition. He is that fast. He is that good. And I don't care that he's like 5'8", buck 85. Like straight up, the dude can kill it. And I'm here for this. Blow all of your fab if you have it. Go for it. And if you haven't been Dynasty, hold on or charge the biggest premium of all time.
They can't hurt you if they can't catch you. Maybe that's his philosophy. Joey, are you as bullish here on Mr. Achan? I am now getting, or Achan, I'm getting told in the chat he has declared he would like his name pronounced.
Yeah, so in the media day, he said A-Chain was the pronunciation, and now he's come out to say Achan. So I can't wait to see what we get to call him next year. No, I was kidding. No, I really am. If you remember on the show earlier this year, I was saying I'm completely out on Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert. I was like, Raheem Mostert's 31. I don't see him being the Dolphins running back for the future, and I do like Achan. Is it Achan? Achan?
Devin
Achan, yeah. And I liked him. I did a lot of like Herms was saying with the rookie scouting coming into the year. He was a running back that I really liked and his situation on the new team. And yesterday was just beautiful to see.
I'll tell you my favorite thing about Devon Achan going into the season was the fact that Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson were the other names on the depth chart.
Yeah.
Was what I found really promising about a rookie running back with that kind of talent profile. Yeah. And Tim down here, yeah, the Dolphins said, what if we just get all the fastest players? What if we just get an offense where everyone's the fastest guy on the field at any given moment? And it freaking works, I guess.
Around the middle of the third quarter, I did a wellness check on Tim before they were even at 70. I think they were around 45 or 48 points. And I was like, how you doing? And I can't say what he said, but he was doing really well.
Yeah, I bet he was pretty happy. It was not the only crazy game yesterday, but I'm sure we're going to talk about some more of those throughout the show today. But like I mentioned, we brought Herms here to play a game that we call Fantasy Fortune. I'm going to pull this up, explain how it works, and then we're going to get started. The board, as you see on the screen in front of you, probably looks familiar if you've ever watched the TV show Wheel of Fortune. And the game's going to be pretty familiar as well with a couple small changes. First and foremost, we are no longer spinning that stupid wheel. Instead, our contestants are going to be answering 50-50 NFL or fantasy-related trivia questions. A lot of them pertaining to this past week, but we might mix it up a little bit as well. Get the question right. You're going to get the opportunity to guess a consonant that you think appears in the puzzle on the board. You'll earn $500 into your round bank for every instance of the consonant that shows up. Now, you can do this 3 times in a row on your turn. That is question right, consonant right. If at any point either of those things is wrong, your turn is automatically over. And after the third correct one, you will have 5 seconds to solve before your turn is over and we move on to the next contestant. Good news, though, if you do get 3 in a row right, it is not for nothing. You will be banking all of that money. The only other way to bank your money is to solve this puzzle, which is one of the 2 things you can do on your turn at any point before a question has been asked. You can choose to solve, in which case you will bank all of the money you've earned or $1,000, whichever one is higher, or you can choose to purchase a vowel. You must have a minimum of $500 in your round bank in order to do so, and they will cost $100 per instance of the vowel that shows up to a max of $500. Which we did implement for the first time last week. I've been saying that rule for like a year, and we finally had one that had 6 vowels on it. We'll go like this till we run out of puzzles or run out of time, at which point whoever has the most money is our Fantasy Fortune champion, and we will have your Kohl's Cash faxed to you within 48 business minutes. But a business minute is much longer than a normal minute. I apologize.
So much longer.
Also, JL stopping by in the chat. What's up, John Luke? Welcome. And Scott's got a theory. Robbie Chosen Anderson is Devon Achan's teammate. So maybe there's a weird mentorship thing going on with the names.
I buy it completely.
Mr. Chosen helping him out over there. All right, well, guys, all those rules I just explained, throw them out the window because this first puzzle is a toss-up. A toss-up's going to work a little bit differently. I'm going to slowly reveal letters in this puzzle. When you think you know what the puzzle is, you yell out your name. If you get it right, you're going to earn $500 and the ability to go first in our next round. You guys ready?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Going down, Herms.
Probably.
I'm going to start revealing letters. Say your name when you know who this is.
Herms.
Joey.
Herms, I heard you first. Who is this?
That is Kenneth Walker.
That is Kenneth Walker. If it wasn't for those pesky Dolphins, it would have been Kenneth Walker's week. He showed up well in the matchup this weekend. Another prior that I'm now fighting against, Herms, is my love for Zach Charbonnet. I was very much in on him potentially even taking over this backfield as early as week 5, 6 into the season. Kenneth Walker's showing up and reminding us that he is that dude, though, especially this week. Are you buying into Kenneth Walker keeping a stranglehold on this RB1 role for the Seahawks offense?
For the time being, sure, but I mean, to Charbonnet's credit, he's like just inching up a little bit more and more. Okay, and also for as good as Walker was in that game, there's a lot of that came through finding the end zone. You know what I mean? Like if you look at like the split of the work share or whatever, it's slowly starting to shrink. So now would definitely be a good time to not give up on Zach Charbonnet, because I think at some point, I mean, Kenneth Walker is somebody that I thought was pretty overpriced, especially. I'm using my dynasty brain here. Maybe this could apply to redraft eventually, too, for all you redrafters out there. But he was a guy that I kind of felt was a little bit overinflated, you know, like just keep an eye on. Don't let this be something that you just forget about. Zach Charbonnet will still be around.
Joey, I see you nodding along as Herms is talking there. You have some season-long optimism for Charbonnet?
Oh, yeah. He threw the best stiff arm of the day yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw that. But I giggled like a schoolgirl when it happened. Like, it was ridiculous. So, yeah, I do have a lot of love. You don't get fantasy points for stiff arm, sadly. I still think that he's going to have a role in this team. And I think what we saw from the Dolphins yesterday with utilizing 2 running backs. Now, that was to an extreme degree. But I think Seattle could absolutely utilize both of these running backs, and he's a rookie running back, so they usually do start in a little slow, especially in Pete Carroll's offense. Still look for Charbonnet to do some good things this year.
So you mentioned
especially with Geno Smith struggling, which I hate to see because I was very in on Geno Smith this year.
You mentioned you giggled when the stiff arm happened. You just
so
mentioned the stiff arm and Herms, and I immediately both started giggling out loud. Like the amount of joy that a good stiff arm brings to football fans. Like when you watch it, everyone's just like immediately overwhelmed with joy. It's like Christmas morning watching a good stiff arm.
It really is.
Nice job, Herms, getting that one. $500 in your bank. And it feels like you're flirting with me so far with the way you've been talking about all these players. Keep it up, and I might just start saying nice things about Najee Harris before the end of this show.
Ooh, there we go. Now we're talking.
Speaking of name changes, we got our friend Coop stopping by in the chat saying this old co-worker, John, after like a year and a half, just randomly said, everyone actually calls me by my middle name, Jake. I just never corrected you. Like, okay, John, too late for that. I had something similar happen at my high school. There was a kid I went to school with since kindergarten. Okay, like we went to the same elementary school, middle school, high school. It is 12th grade, and he comes in, and we're like, what's up, Gavin? And he goes, actually, it's Gavon. And apparently his father had found out. His father had found out the kids at school called him Gavin and got pissed because he said, I named you Gavon. And so he came to school, and all of a sudden, after like 13 years of knowing this guy, we just had to start calling him something else. It was wild.
Oh, very late in the game, bro. Very, very late in the game.
Like 11. Did you just like open hand slap him?
No.
Like I'm a very peaceful and loving person, but if somebody said my name is Gavon, open hand smack right away.
I said, can I borrow your phone? I'd like to speak with your father.
Yes, I would.
Also, Craig down here saying I buried the lead. Congrats to Simon on his 200th FYF game hosting experience. Yeah!
I can't find my kazoo. Oh no.
200 game shows. Holy cow. All Herms, win this one. Win show number 200. Also, Carlos in the chat with an update on our listener league. It is tight at the bottom in the listener league this week. We've got 8 teams technically up for elimination. Myself, Joey, Craig, and Jay find ourselves as the most likely to be eliminated. And Carlos has determined that the prophecy says Joey is slated to be eliminated from the Guillotine League tonight. So, Joey, best of luck to you defeating the prophecy.
And all I know is that if Carlos is correct, then he is a witch or a soothsayer and shall be burned at the stake.
Live next Wednesday on the Fantasy Football Game Show. All right, guys, we are going to load up puzzle number 2 here. Herms has an early lead, but it is anybody's game. Up next, courtesy of our friend Craig in the chat, we have an NFL player food mashup. This is going to be an NFL player's name and a food mashed together to some varying degree of success and or eye rolling. Herms, you are up first after solving that last puzzle. Would you like a question or would you like to solve?
I would like a question.
Okay. All of my fantasy points questions are going to be PPR. So if I ask a fantasy points question, it will be PPR. Herms, what I want to know is who scored more fantasy points this past weekend? Who scored more fantasy points this past weekend? Was it Keenan Allen or was it Tyreek Hill?
It was Keenan Allen.
It was Keenan Allen, even though Tyreek Hill was a very active participant in that 70-point whopping of the Broncos. Keenan Allen was the #1 wide receiver on the week. Which letter would you like, Herms?
I will take the letter T.
The letter T. Let's see if there's any T's in there. There are no T's in this puzzle. Getting it out of the way early and handing it to Joey with no additional information. I like the strategy, Herms. A reminder to our contestants to have that chat closed and a reminder to the chat to play along. Throw your guesses in there if you think you know what it is. Joey, would you like to solve this puzzle or would you like a question?
It's like two things it could be. I'm going to take a question.
Okay, Joey, my question for you is who had more PPR fantasy points last week in week 3? Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Was it Adam Thielen or was it Amari Cooper?
Adam Thielen?
Adam Thielen is correct. The
Should have been
#3
Amari
wide
Cooper,
receiver on the
He
week.
should have had that touchdown.
He should have.
Yeah.
Which letter would you like, Joey?
C.
C. There are 2 C's in this puzzle going to earn you $1,000. Would you like to solve? Would you like another question? Would you like to buy a vowel?
I'd like to buy an A.
An A. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 A's in this puzzle, Joey. Going to bring you down to 600, and your options remain the same. Would you like to solve? Would you like to buy another vowel, or would you like your second question?
I don't know. I know what the food is. Okay, I'll take. Actually, no, it wouldn't be that. I'll take a question.
Okay. Who scored more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Who scored more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Was it Marvin Mims Jr. or was it Garrett Wilson?
Garrett Wilson.
I'm sorry, Joey. It was Marvin Mims Jr. with a 16.6 PPR fantasy.
What did Garrett Wilson have?
9.8 sitting down there.
I know he got some work.
9.8 for Garrett Wilson, which means Herms, we're back to you with on the board. Would you like a question? Would you like to solve? Or those are your only options? I guess you could quit as well.
That is true. No, I will take a question.
Okay, my question for you is who had more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Was it Chris Olave or was it Terry McLaurin?
I think it was Chris Olave.
And you would think correctly, Herms. Which letter would you like?
Huzzah! I will take the letter L.
L. There are no L's in this puzzle. Herms just getting wrecked by the letter gods today. Joey, what's it going to be? Would you like to buy a vowel? Would you like another question or would you like to solve?
I want to buy an E.
Okay. There is 1 E in this puzzle. And because there was only 1, you can still buy more vowels if you would like to do so.
No, it's a question.
Okay. Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Was it Deebo Samuel or was it DJ Chark?
Deebo.
Deebo is correct by about 7 points. Which letter would you like, Joey?
N.
N is in no, there's not any N's in this puzzle.
Yep.
Except there are. I lied. There's 2 N's. Going to add $1,000. Joey, your options remain the same. What would you like to do? Question number 2, buy a vowel or solve this puzzle.
Did you spell it right?
Mm-hmm. Indeed, I did.
I don't know. I need a question.
Okay. My question for you, Joe, is who had more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Was it Josh Downs or was it Mike Williams?
Josh Downs or Mike Williams?
Mike Williams is correct. Which letter would you like, Joey?
I will take a D.
There's one
knew
D in this
that.
puzzle. This is your last opportunity to buy vowels, or we can roll into your third question.
I want to go into the question in case I missed something. Oh, wait. Okay, I'm going to solve.
Okay.
Pronunciation's going to mess me up. Cam pancakers and syrup.
Joey, this is Cam pancakers and syrup. Nice job, my friend, pulling that one out. That last word with no letters in it could have been a bunch of different things, but you figured it out.
Thought at first it was Bob Kraft macaroni and cheese, because I had and cheese at the bottom, but that's not cheese.
That's what very early Dustin came in here with Mac Jones-aroni and cheese.
Okay.
Sounds disgusting. Figuring it out with Cam Akers is the player. Timothy came in with pancakers. Dustin got Cam pancakers and then Albert coming in with and syrup. Dustin
actually buying those vowels helped me to know there was like, because the cheese, cheese wouldn't fit there, but the two E's, that being gone. Yeah.
Scamper so close with Cam macaronis and cheese.
Yeah.
Man. Herms, Joey did win this puzzle, but I wanted to hear what you think is going to happen with Cam Akers here in Minnesota. Alexander Madison had been struggling, but it seems like with the signing of Cam Akers, he suddenly has a 4.7 yards per carry day and looked a little bit better than he had in weeks past. Do you think Cam Akers is the new RB1 here, or is he there as a supplementary back to Madison?
It's so tough because I don't know how good either of them are, but I got to respect Minnesota on this one because I've always said whenever something's going wrong, always double down on the problem. That's usually been my solution in life, and it's paid off well. The thing that I will say though, it wouldn't shock me if Akers ends up doing a little bit of something because between O'Connell and the name of the offensive coordinator that I cannot remember, they were both there with him in Los Angeles for a long time. He has more of a history with that coaching staff than Alexander Madison does. For all the credit that Alexander Madison got over the offseason and all of that, it was based off of production that he had with a completely different group of people calling the plays and organizing the scheme. So that's just one thing I will throw out there because it's not just a fun fact. It's a pretty relevant piece of the puzzle. So I'm non-committal, but if I had to bet, if I was forced to place a wager, I'd probably go with Cam Akers.
Joey, are you on the same side as Herms on this one, or are you leaning more on the Madison side?
I don't think that Cam Akers is talented enough a football player to win the lead back role for the Vikings. I don't think he's any better than Madison. I think we might be looking at a 50-50 split. Akers did look really good last year to finish the season, and I've said that before.
Yeah.
Unless the Rams thought that Kyron Williams is the next like Adrian Peterson, I don't understand why they would part with Cam Akers for so little. I said famously yesterday as a joke that when Madison, we thought he was hurt, that the Vikings would go out and trade for a running back because they don't have a starting running back on their roster right now. And I got a lot of Cam Akers fans in my mentions, just like I thought I would. But I think we're looking at a split best case scenario for Akers. I think Madison's the better running back, even though he had some trouble.
Another gross running back situation, though. With just Madison there, it was already gross. And Scott highlighting that Madison did leave the door cracked, even with an all right box score at the end of that game. And Coop coming in with really smart stuff, everyone. Yeah, kudos, everyone, figuring that out. Cam pancakers and syrup. This is the peak of intelligence that we're all witnessing on this screen right now. With that said, just wait till you see the next puzzle. Puzzle number 3 coming up. It is Joey's favorite category, rhyme time. This is going to be something that rhymes, like playing clarinet with Jacoby Brissett or a romantic weekend in France with Trey Lance. A player name and something that rhymes with it will make up this puzzle in some way, shape, or form. Joey, you solved that last one, which means Herms, you are up first. You ready for your first question, or would you like to blind solve this puzzle?
Ooh, I'm gonna go for a question.
Okay. What I want to know is who had more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Was it the aforementioned Alexander Madison, or was it Jaylen Warren?
I think it was Madison.
It was Madison. Herms, which letter would you like?
I will take H for Herms.
H for Herms. There are 2 H's in this puzzle. We're going to add a grand. You did it! Would you like to buy a vowel? Would you like another question, or would you like to solve this puzzle?
I will take a question.
A question. Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Was it Christian McCaffrey or was it Damian Pierce?
Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey is correct. Which letter would you like, Herms?
I will take let's go with S.
S. There are 3 S's in this puzzle, racking you up another 1,500. You got 2,500 in your round bank. Herms, the options remain the same, but this is your last opportunity to buy vowels before it goes to Joey, if you'd like to do so. Otherwise, we can roll into question number 3 here.
I would like to purchase the letter A.
A. There are 2 A's in this puzzle. Going to subtract 200. Your options remain the same.
I'll take a question.
Okay, your third and final question. Get this right. You're going to bank all of this money. Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Was it Josh Jacobs or was it Jerome Ford?
Jerome Ford.
Jerome Ford is correct. Buoyed by his double touchdown game. Which letter would you like, Herms?
I will go with, let's take an N.
An N. Oh, it's a good one, Herms. That is 5 N's in this puzzle. Going to add 2,500. You're going to bank all of this money, but you've got 5 seconds to try to solve.
Nope.
Nope is incorrect, which means, Joey, we're on to you, but Herms is banking all 4,800 and taking a lead. What would you like to do?
I'm going to take a question. I'm going to buy a question.
Okay. You can buy a question. They're free.
Thank you.
Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Was it Tony Pollard or was it Zach Moss?
Zach Moss.
Zach Moss is correct. Joey, which letter would you like?
T.
T. There are 4 T's in this puzzle. Going to add 2 grand to your score. You can buy a vowel, you can take another question, or you can solve this puzzle.
I'm going to buy some vowels.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no. I want questions because I need to get money. Herms just put up a big old number on me, so I need money. Good.
Okay.
Question.
Who scored more fantasy points in week 3? More PPR fantasy points. Was it Maparita or was it Jerick McKinnon?
Jerick McKinnon.
Jerick McKinnon is correct. Even though Burita got the touchdown, he didn't get much else. What would you like to do here, Joey?
I want to buy a C.
A C. There are 2 C's in this puzzle. Going to add $1,000. This is your last opportunity to buy vowels if you would like to do so, or you can take your next question.
I'm going to take a question.
Question number 3. Get this and the letter right. You'll bank all this money. Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Was it Tony Jones Jr. or was it Isaiah Pacheco?
Isaiah Pacheco.
That is correct, Joey. Which letter would you like?
L.
L. There's one
Just one?
L in this puzzle. Going to add 500. You're going to bank all this money, but you've got 5 seconds to try to solve. Which means, Herms, we are back to you. Joey's going to bank this money, though, taking an ever so slight lead of $200, but it is back to you. Would you like a question or would you like to solve?
I would like a question.
Okay. Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Was it Travis Etienne Jr. or was it Bijan Robinson?
Etienne.
Etienne is correct. Which letter would you like?
As an aside, that Bijan game made me so sad. I needed him in a couple spots. I will take the letter R.
R. There are no R's in this entire puzzle, which means it's back to Joey. Joey, what would you like to do?
I'm going to take a question.
Okay. My question for you is, who had more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 3? Was it Elijah Mitchell or was it James Cook?
PPR fantasy points, Elijah Mitchell, James Cook. Oh, God. James Cook.
James Cook is correct, Joey.
Which is it? I did not know that one. I will take a B.
A B. There's one
That's what I thought it
B
was.
in this
Okay.
puzzle. Going to add 500. You can buy
All
a
right.
vowel if you would like to do so. You can take another question or you can solve.
I'm gonna buy an O.
An O. There are 3 O's in this puzzle. Going to subtract 300. You no longer have enough money to buy
I'll
vowels.
take a question.
Okay. Here's your next question, Joey. What I want to know is on the season, so cumulative through the first 3 weeks, who has more PPR fantasy points? So on the season, who has more PPR fantasy points? Is it Tank Dell or is it George Pickens?
Tank Dell.
Tank Dell is correct. The number 11 wide receiver on the season so far. Which letter would you like, Joey?
I know one of. I'm gonna take a W.
A W?
And hopefully there's more than one.
Okay, well, Joey, there are 2 W's in this puzzle. Going to add 1,000 this year. Last opportunity to buy vowels if you would like to do so this turn.
I'm gonna buy. You wouldn't put that in there, would you? Okay, I'm gonna buy an I.
There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 I's in this puzzle, but we're only going to subtract 500.
Okay, I'll solve.
Okay, Joey, say it exactly as it is on the board.
Do I get extra points if I do it with an accent?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Coop. Okay. Doing wicked shit in Boston with Calvin Austin.
You are doing wicked shit in Boston with Calvin Austin, Joey. And I just thought Calvin Austin was doing wicked stuff all over the field this week. He deserved a shout out in this game. Herms, is this someone you think you're going to be able to rely on in fantasy regularly? Because he seemed to be a preferred down the field target for Mr. Pickett.
I think in like deeper leagues, he's worth a speculative add. I think most of your 10 or 12 team leagues, you don't have to worry about it. But he's an interesting guy. He didn't play at all last year because of foot injury, kind of held him out for the whole season. But he's fast. And he's got them hands, baby.
Joey, do you have any more prolonged optimism for Calvin Austin, or is this like an emergency flex kind of play?
I would say I have a little more optimism playing him than I do his teammate Allen Robinson at this point.
Yes.
It's a low line.
At that being said, I think he's an emergency flex.
Tim was so close with doing pickle shot in Boston with Calvin Austin. Man, you were so close. They weren't doing a pickle shot. But they were getting close on that one.
That was the tricky part of this puzzle. Was I thought that was shot because I didn't think you'd put a curse word in here.
Nick said wicked smart. Yeah, nice job solving that one, Joe. We're going to take a slight lead, but we got time for some more puzzles. Herms, you are up first on this next puzzle. The score is 5,300 to 6,500. And the category here is NFL headline. NFL headline. So this is going to be a headline from the NFL. Not much more I can say there. Herms, would you like a question or would you like to solve this puzzle?
I will take a question.
Okay. My question for you is who has more PPR fantasy points on the season so far? Who has more PPR fantasy points on the season? Is it Deebo Samuel or is it CeeDee Lamb?
Deebo Samuel?
Deebo Samuel is correct. Sorry for putting that question mark on the teleprompter, Herms. Which letter would you like?
I'll take the letter D.
D? There are 3 D's in this puzzle. D for Deebo. Herms got the D and got $1,500 in your round bank. Which letter would you like next? Well, that's not how this game works.
I'll think about that. Well, I think about the answer to the question.
Okay. Also, I see Scampers coming in here saying managers are effed with Burrow's injury. Did we just get news that Burrow is out for tonight's game? If someone could find that out, I know you guys don't have the chat open.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to be in the chat.
Yeah, I'm just going to check my notifications real quick.
I don't see a sleeper noti yet, but we'll keep an eye on that and let you guys know what that means for fans. That would be bad for me tonight.
Dude, because the last thing I saw was that he's going to try and play. So this is kind of a bummer, dude.
Yeah. I mean, we did say on the show to go pick up Matthew Stafford if he's on your waiver wire in every league. And, you know, with a Monday night injury like this is the kind of crap that can happen. It stinks. Hopefully Joe Burrow's okay and then he can recover. But, man.
Wait, time out, guys. False alarm. That was Scamper's attempt at a no-letter solve.
Oh,
Managers are effed with Burrow's injury.
Can I go change my pants real quick? I'll be back, guys.
I'm sorry, everyone. False alarm on my part. Herms, would you like question number 2?
yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay, now that our heart rates are all through the roof, Herms, who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 3 weeks
in the
of the
chair.
season? Who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 3 weeks of the season? Is it Stephon Diggs or is it Amari Cooper?
Stephon Diggs.
That is correct. Cooper's had 2 great games, but not quite enough to put him up there. Which letter would you like?
I will take the letter J.
J. There are no J's in this puzzle. The D worked, but the J let you down. Joey, it is your turn. Would you like a question or would you like to solve?
I honestly thought I was going to be able to solve this, no letters, but it's not what I thought it was.
So
but
a
I'm
question?
still thinking some of the words might be. Yes, it'd be a question. Sorry.
No, you're good. Who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 3 weeks of the season? Is it Christian Kirk or is it Nico Collins?
Nico Collins.
Nico Collins is correct, even with the stinker this week. Nice job, Joey. Which letter would you like?
L.
L. There are 2 L's in this puzzle. Can add $1,000.
Let's buy some vowels.
Okay.
I'm gonna buy an O.
There are 2 O's, Joey.
I want to buy an E.
Okay. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 E's, and that's going to be it for your vowel purchasing this round. What would you like to do now? Would you like another question or would you like to solve?
I would like to. Oh, what is that word? I'm gonna have to take a question because I can't get that word. Oh!
Okay. Who has more PPR fantasy points on the season so far? Who has more PPR fantasy points on the season so far? Is it Romeo Dobbs or is it Jaden Reed?
That's a really mean question to ask. Romeo Dobbs.
Romeo Dobbs is correct. Which letter would you like?
Okay. I need a second. I'll take an S.
An S. There are 3 S's in this puzzle, Joey. This is your last opportunity to buy vowels.
Buy an I.
An I. There are 2
What is
I's.
that word?
Would you like to buy any more vowels or would you like another question?
What is that word? Oh my God. I have to take a. Well, wait. I guess I can buy. I'll buy an A. I'll buy the A.
There are 3 A's, and that is all of the vowels, Joey. Would you like your second question?
What I'm gonna poop my pants when I say again when I have to say questions. I don't know what that word is.
Who has more PPR fantasy points on the season so far? Who has more PPR fantasy points? Is it Jacoby Myers or is it Kendrick Bourne?
One more time, the question.
More PPR fantasy points on the season so far. Jacoby Myers or Kendrick Bourne?
I'm going to say Jacoby Myers, even though he missed a game.
And you would be right, Joey. Saw straight through the trick. Which letter would you like?
Okay. I'm going to take the R.
There are 3 R's in this puzzle. Going to add 1,500. Was that your, let's see.
Oh, got it.
Okay. That was your third question, right? Joe, you got 5 seconds to solve.
Dolphins set single game yardage record.
Dolphins set single game yardage record is correct. It looks like Herms figured it out moments before you, Joey. Herms, it came down to the last 5 seconds on whether or not you got that one. Joey's going to steal it away, though, at the last second. And we talked about this already. This is absolutely wild. Herms, I did want to ask you about maybe the forgotten piece of this offense so far this season. Jalen Waddle was a little bit disappointing through the first 2 weeks. The miss this week with a concussion. Is Jalen Waddle a buy low candidate for you right now, or are you concerned the rest of the season with how the rest of this offense is clicking?
I think he'll be all right. I mean, the injury he was dealing with before the concussion, if I remember correctly, it was either a quad or a groin, whatever it was. He was dealing with that going back to like the beginning of August. So it was just like a thing they were kind of like taking him, along slowly with. I think it's intentional on their part a little bit just to make sure that a player that good doesn't sacrifice their ability to play for the entire season. So we know that he's super good, and people point to last year and say, well, there was a little bit of some down production, blah, blah. It's like, well, a lot of that came without Tua. So I think we're all going to be good as far as that goes. So, yeah, if somebody's starting to panic on Jalen Waddle, I'd be interested in taking a speculative shot.
I'm with you. The chat was on this one. They worked together. Dustin came in with Dolphins something. Tim got Dolphins set. Dustin got Dolphins set single game around the same time as Albert there. Tim coming in with yardage record, put it all together as a team. And then Dustin so close with Dolphins set single game yardage record. Almost had it. It was not the Dolphins. It was the Dolphins. The Dolphins don't play till Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that was for Herms' J that he guessed.
Yeah, of course, yes.
That's what you were thinking of. You were thinking of the Dolphins and the record they just set.
I thought it would be a sneaky one, just to try and slip that in there, but.
All right, well, guys, let's move on to our next puzzle here. Puzzle number 5. We've got a category called same last name. How this is going to be structured is first name, ampersand, first name, then their shared last name. So this is 2 players, 2 first names, and then their singular shared last name. We haven't done this one in a while. Joey, you solved that one, which means Herms, you are up first. Would you like a question or would you like to solve this puzzle?
I will take a question.
Okay, my question for you is who has more PPR fantasy points on the season so far? So through 3 weeks, who has more PPR fantasy points? Is it Raheem Mostert or is it Christian McCaffrey?
Damn. I think it's McCaffrey.
I am sorry, Herms. The number 1 running back on the season for 3 weeks, Raheem Mostert, has more PPR fantasy points. The world is a wild place, which means, Joey, we are on to you. Would you like a question or would you like to solve?
Question, please.
Okay, who has more PPR fantasy points on the season thus far? Who has more PPR fantasy points on the season thus far? Is it Kenneth Walker or is it James Conner?
Kenneth Walker.
You are correct, Joey. Which letter would you like?
I wasn't very confident. Let's go R.
R. There are 2 R's in this puzzle. Going to earn you $1,000. Would you like another question? Would you like to solve? Or would you like to buy a vowel?
I want to buy. I never buy vowels, and I've been buying them the last couple times I'm playing Wheel of Fortune, and I've been doing pretty well. I'm going to buy an I.
An I. There are 3 I's in this puzzle. Your options remain the same.
I'm going to take a question.
Okay, question number 2. Who has more PPR fantasy points on the season thus far? Who has more PPR fantasy points on the season thus far? Is it Tyler Algier or is it Dameon Pierce?
Dameon Pierce finally had a good game yesterday. Tyler Algier's been he was really good week 1. I'm going to go Algier.
And you are correct, Joey. You broke that down perfectly. Which letter would you like?
C.
C. There are no C's in this puzzle, which means we are on to Herms. Herms, would you like a question or would you like to solve?
I'm going to need a question.
Okay. Who has more PPR fantasy points on the season so far? Who has more PPR fantasy points on the season? Is it Miles Sanders or is it Tony Pollard?
Tony Pollard.
Tony Pollard is correct. Which letter would you like?
Jeez. I'll take the letter N.
N. There are 4 N's in this puzzle, going to add 2,000 to your score. Herms, you can purchase a vowel, you can take another question, or you can solve this puzzle.
I will take another question.
Okay. My question for you is who has more PPR fantasy points on the season thus far? Who has more PPR fantasy points on the season thus far? Is it James Cook or is it sorry, 1 second.
Very good.
Lost my question. Who has more PPR fantasy points on the season thus far? Is it James Cook or is it Javonte Williams?
James Cook.
James Cook is absolutely correct. Which letter would you like, Herms?
I'll take a B.
A B. That's going to add 3 more letters to the board, 1,500 to your score. Would you like to take your third and final question, purchase vowels, or solve this puzzle?
I'm going to try and big brain this and just take the question.
Okay. The question for Herms to try to rack up a little bit more money. Herms, who has more PPR fantasy points thus far on the season? Who has more PPR fantasy points thus far on the season? Is it Marquise Brown or is it Rashid Shaheed?
That's tough.
Oh God, no. Okay, I think it's Marquise Brown.
And you think correctly. Get this letter right, and you're going to bank all of this money, Herms, and have the opportunity to solve to prevent Joey from getting a shot at this.
I will take a J.
A J. That is another 500 into your score. Herms, would you like to solve this puzzle? Because you got 5 seconds before we move on to Joey.
This is Brian and Bijan Robinson.
This is Brian and Bijan Robinson. Nice job, Herms. And with that big brain moment there at the end, you are going to perfectly tie this game at 9,300 apiece as we go into what is likely our last puzzle of the
Make
day.
it a good one.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to point out these are your number 6 and number 7 scoring running backs on the season thus far.
Okay.
The B Robinson sitting right here. Bijan, we were hoping for. It wasn't a great game, but we still have a RB1. Brian Robinson, I think, has been a little bit of a surprise to some people. Joey, do you think Brian Robinson is going to maintain the workload he has here in Washington rest of season, or are you scared Gibson will get more involved?
I think he's going to keep this workload. If you think back to last year before the accident that he had, that's what we're calling it, with the shooting, we were really high on Brian Robinson. Like Washington seemed to love him. And then that incident happened and he got sidelined for 4 to 5 weeks. And then he came out and he actually had a decent season. I just think we might see that faith that Washington had in him the very first season finally materializing. So I think Brian Robinson's the real deal, especially when Washington is not trailing in a game. When they're competing, when they're in the game, I think Brian Robinson's going to stay on the field.
Herms, you equally as optimistic there?
I am. So myself and friend of the show, Alex Korf, peaked in high school, collaborated on the Draft Sharks Dynasty Trade Targets article that we do periodically over there. And we had Brian Robinson in there because if you look at now, granted, these are the stats through like prior to yesterday's game, but the snap share between him and Antonio Gibson was around like 60-40-ish or whatever. But if you look at just like the work share split and who's getting all the touches, it is Brian Robinson dominating that. And I think it has a little bit to do with the fact that Gibson is in the doghouse for some fumbly fumbles. So like until that like stops happening, then I think it's just going to keep going because everything Joey said, they like him. Okay. And he's good. Yeah. Okay. So like if it ain't broke,
what do you want? Okay.
Yeah.
He's doing it. All right. Well, guys, this game is neck and neck. It's all going to come down to who gets this last puzzle. We got one more for you, and here it is. We're going to go puzzle number 7. We got teammate first names on this one. So these are going to be 4 first names of players that are on the same team. The chat is celebrating you right there. Heck yeah, Herms. Tim coming in. Shout out, Tim. And Herms, since you solved that one, it is Joey's turn to go first on this puzzle. Joey, would you like to solve or would you like a question?
I'll take a question.
Joey, who had more rushing yards in week 3? Who had more rushing yards in week 3? Was it Devon Chan or was it Brian Robinson Jr. plus Travis Etienne Jr.?
That's what's. Give me the 2 players again, you jerk.
Brian Robinson Jr. and Travis Etienne Jr.
I'm just gonna say A-Chain.
And you would be correct, Joey. His 203 rushing yards were more than both of those players combined. Neither one broke 100. Absolutely absurd. Which letter would you like?
Before I guess this letter, can I just ask you, were you planning on just asking me one player, and then when I went yes, you're like, well, I'm going to show Joey?
No, everybody. Is that what
you did?
No, Chan had 200 plus yards. Okay. Any question with just him would have been a slap in the face to the other contestant.
Okay, well, I'll take an R, please.
An R. There are 2 R's in this puzzle. Oh, it works for you, but the R doesn't work for Herms when he guesses it. What you going to do now, Joey? Buy a vowel, take a question, or solve?
Buy a vowel. I'm going to buy an I.
An I. There's one I.
Oh, that was not a good one. Let's try that again. I'm going to buy an A.
There are 3 A's in this puzzle.
Okay. Question, please.
Okay. Who had more rushing yards in week 3, Joey? Who had more rushing yards in week 3? Was it Christian McCaffrey or was it Lamar Jackson?
Christian McCaffrey.
I'm sorry, it was Lamar Jackson with
you
over
would do that.
100 yards on the ground this weekend, which means, Herms, we are on to you. Would you like a question or would you like to solve?
I would like a question.
Who had more rushing yards over the weekend? Who had more rushing yards in week 3, Herms? Was it Jahmyr Gibbs or was it Justin Fields?
I think it was Justin Fields.
I am sorry. It was Jahmyr Gibbs with 80 to Justin Fields.
I thought it would be the trick. Oh.
It would have been a double trick, but we're back to Joey. Would you like a question? Would you like vowels?
Vowels. I'm buying E.
There are 2 E's in this puzzle, meaning you can no longer buy vowels, but you can take a question or solve.
I'll take a question.
Okay. My question for you, Joey, is who had more receiving yards during week 3? Who had more receiving yards during week 3? Was it Tank Dell or was it Devontae Adams?
Receiving yards?
Receiving yards.
Tank. Oh, man, but Devontae Adams had like 170. I'll go Adams.
These were 2 of the highest performers on the week, but Adams had him beat by over 30 yards, Joey. Nice job. Which letter would you like?
N.
N. There's one.
Just
N
really,
in.
just one.
Hey,
that's it.
Take what you're given, Joey. It's better than nothing.
I'm gonna buy an O.
Okay. An O. There is one O in this puzzle, and that is all of the vowels.
Okay.
Question number 2.
Will take a question.
Okay. Question number 2 coming your way, Joey. What I want to know is who had more receiving yards in week 3? Who had more receiving yards in week 3? Was it Sam Laporta or was it Amari Cooper?
That's really mean. I'm going to say Sam Laporta.
I'm sorry. It was Amari Cooper
you Browns
with
fan.
116 to Laporta's 84, which means, Herms, we're back to you. Would you like a question or would you like to solve?
I would take a question.
Okay, my question for you is who had more receiving yards in week 3? Who had more receiving yards in week 3? Was it Jacoby Myers or was it Mike Williams?
I want to say Jacoby Myers.
I'm sorry. It was Mike Williams with 121 to Jacoby Myers 85, which means, Joey, we're back to you.
Question.
A question for Joey. Who had more receiving yards in week 3? Who had more receiving yards in week 3? Was it Jerry Jeudy or was it Chris Olave?
Jerry Jeudy or Chris Olave receiving yards?
Yes.
Jeudy.
I'm sorry. It was Olave with 104 to Judy's 81, which means, Herms, we are back to you. Would you like a question or would you like to solve this puzzle?
I'll take a question.
Okay. My question for you, Herms, is according to the FanDuel Sportsbook, who is favored in tonight's Bengals-Rams game?
I think I'm still gonna. Jesus. Okay, I think it's still probably the Rams.
I'm sorry. It
no,
is the Bengals.
I thought about it too much. I thought because I was like, did they change it because of things and news? Like, I hate this.
We are in the portion of the game where you guys are playing me and tricking yourselves, which means, Joey, we are back to you. Would you like a question or would you like to solve a question?
Question.
Okay, Joey.
Question.
Okay.
I'm so mad.
Relax. Joey, what I want to know is which game tonight, the Eagles-Buccaneers game or the Rams-Bengals game, has a higher total. So the over-under is higher.
The Eagles-Bucks.
I'm sorry, Joey. It is the Rams
Eagles
game that has the higher over-under. Which means, Herms, we are back to you. Would you like to solve? Would you like another question?
Okay, I'm torn because, like, I think I know what it is, but I also want to win the game, and I
so
don't want it to
you
be
earn
a
a minimum of
game.
1,000 if you solve.
Oh, okay. I'd like to solve then.
Okay, let's hear it exactly as it is on the board.
Gardner Michael, Josh, Zach.
Gardner, Michael, Josh, Zach is correct. Terms for the win.
No.
At $10,300. Congratulations, my friend. You have broken your fantasy fortune curse. And Joey is protesting, but that is the sign of a good victory.
He said Zach. I heard it very clearly. I heard it very, very clearly. And I was listening to make sure. So I will protest this victory of Herms, who I love very much, and he's one of my close friends in this industry. However, I will protest this.
We'll send that off to New York for further review, but as of right now, the victory stands. Congratulations, Herms.
Dude, I'm just because like I knew it like 2 turns ago, but I was like, I need the money. But then I just like forgot that I could have ended this like 2.5 minutes ago. It was the third
name, like the Josh. I didn't know the third name.
You know what? Downs, but it was a couple more minutes I got to spend with you, Herm. So I appreciate you for getting that role there at the end. The chat is hyped about your victory. Dane with the woohoo. Tim coming in with the Herms, all caps. Man, and what a way. The Steelers get a win. Herms gets a win. And then we got double Monday Night Football tonight. Herms, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on with us. And everybody in the chat, if you haven't done so already, go and follow our friend Herms at Herms NFL. It's right there on the screen below him. Herms, thank you so much again for coming and hanging out with us.
Absolutely. And even if I did misspeak, it's the moral victory, okay? That's what matters.
Shout out Zach Moss for showing up this week. We'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern time for some more fantasy football game show fun. Until then, though, we are out of here. Enjoy your Monday night. Enjoy your double Monday Night Football. And we'll see y'all in week 4. Adios, everyone.
He also said my chill.
Oh, no.